This is where my family's at.
The Santos aren't your family.
Nah. They're not yours.
Girl, shut the fuck up. You thought you ate that?
Thanks again.
I want some of your brownsugar. I want some of your brownsugar. I want some of your brownsugar.
Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. This is Brownsugar Commentate and I'm your girl, Kayla. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe for more videos about black entertainment, black womanhood, whatever else I feel like talking about this week. Alright, let's get right into it. So I want to talk to you guys about the fourth and final season of the Netflix original series On My Block. Because unlike Dear White People, which I should have a video live on my channel about that, so definitely check it out. But On My Block understood the assignment for the most part. Wasn't necessarily my favorite season, and there was some issues like writing-wise and story-wise. Like, it was but it was a decent enough conclusion for me to be satisfied with the ending, and, you know, I still enjoyed the show as a whole, so it's worth talking about. So yeah. So to give you guys a background of what On My Block is for those that don't know, or just to give you a refresher if you do, On My Block is basically a coming of age comedy drama type of show that basically talks about the lives of four friends who basically grew up together in the inner city of a fictional LA neighborhood called Freeridge, and basically it's talking about like the ups and downs of living in the inner city as well as just being a teenager and what comes with that. So it explores, you know, organized crime, gang activities, relationships, teenage stuff, essentially. And like I said, it was its fourth and final season, and it follows the friendship and lives of Ruby, Jamal, Monse, and Cesar, and later Jasmine from like season 3, or Jasmine's always been there, but I feel like she's been a main character the past 2 seasons, I guess. So yeah. So what I'm gonna do is talk about each character individually, especially with this season, talk about this season as a whole, and then how I feel about the show in general. So the first character we're gonna talk about is Mr. Ruby, whose real name is Ruben Martinez, and he is played by Jamal, Genao. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm sorry if I haven't. But I feel like Ruby's a great place to start because I feel like Ruby was the focal point, especially of season 1. Ruby this season was, I don't know. I just feel like this is where I feel like the show had issues with writing, because I feel like with Ruby, you know, season 1 was this little boy who, you know, was going through typical like 14-year-old boy issues. You know, he lives in a house with a bunch of siblings. He doesn't get any privacy. You know, he really is like into this girl who has to live with him, and, you know, she doesn't really like, or she friend zones him in a sense, even though I don't like that word, but you know what I mean. Like, he likes a girl that doesn't really see him in that way. And when he finally gets her attention, she gets shot. And then he also gets shot. And then, you know, season 2, he was basically dealing with the PTSD that comes with that, and then also with grief. And I feel like that spills over into season 3 as well. And then this season, you know, Ruby is one, he's you know, he was trying to do the whole class president thing, but that doesn't work out. Him and Jamal have fallen out, which is crazy because they had probably the most solid friendship out of the 4 of them. And so that was very weird. And then, you know, he's with Jasmine, who I felt like he used kind of like as an emotional crutch, especially he was going through his PTSD. And now I feel like, you know, he probably felt like she was suffocating him, and so he breaks up with her, but then he regrets the decision, and for the rest of the season, he's trying to win her back. And yeah, and I feel like, I guess Ruby's arc this season was to try to show him to be more independent and not so reliant on other people, because a lot of people, his whole life, he's been essentially babied, especially after what happens to him, he gets even more babied. But then, you know, he tries to gain this sense of independence and trying to do things for himself and show that he's fearless in a sense. and in control, where for the most part he never really felt much in control. That is what my brain, my analytical brain is trying to gather for what Ruby's journey is supposed to be. And like I said, I really don't know how to feel about Ruby's character this season. Like, there are times I empathize with him, especially with him and Jamal. Like, I really didn't like the way Jamal treated him those first couple of episodes. But like I said, I feel like when it comes to the Jasmine situation, I didn't really like the way he treated Jasmine at all. But like I said, I mean, but it worked out because, I mean, like, they end up together in the end, right? I guess is what we're led to believe. I'm not sure. And he ends up to confront the guy that shot him in jail, and they had that moment. But I don't know. I don't know if it was really satisfying for me. Like, I just wish they did a little bit more of Ruby's character. I feel like it was meh. Even the thing with Jasmine, like the whole thing about the threesome thing, I feel like they didn't really explore that at all. Like, it's just like they had it and then he didn't like it, but I don't feel like they really explained why. Like, it was just a thing that it was just weird. I don't know. Like, but that's Ruby. That's all I can really say about him this season. Yeah. But I mean, nothing beats season 1 Ruby. Like, I feel like season 1 Ruby was just so light, like lively and fun and interesting. And I just feel like we lost that. And I mean, I guess that's to be because he went through severe trauma and stuff. But like, damn, like, we could have made him a little bit like how he was season 1. Like, now he's just obsessed with Jasmine. And that's kind of his whole thing. Like, did he even get into college? Like, I just feel like, what does Ruby want to do with his life outside of this? Like, did we learn that? No, not really. But yeah, that's Ruby. Next is Mr. Jamal. Mr. Jamal, my king, played by the wonderful Brett Gray, who I met in real life once. I did. I met him at a Lucky Day concert, and he was super nice and super sweet, and I remember I got a picture with him. I hated how I looked in that picture, but he was super nice about it, and yeah. And for that, I always love Mr. Brett Gray, and he's just a funny, like, he's like a fun, charismatic type of dude, both in the show and in real life, and I hope that he gets all the things. I mean, I hope everybody gets all the things, but definitely Brett, because he carried this show on his back, as well as Abuelita and Jasmine. But, you know, it was like Jamal, like, they were just tag teaming for, like, best character. But Jamal this season was very much, at the beginning, was a jackass, a little bit. He was definitely completely like a 180 from the Jamal that we grew to know and love. You know, now he was popular. He's on the football team. Him and Ruby ain't speaking. He getting all the shorties. Like, it was very much like, what happened? How is this possible? And it's still like, how is that possible? I don't feel like they really did a good job at doing that. But yeah, like, Jamal this season, this is another character I felt like this show did not know what we were really doing with Mr. Jamal. Because Jamal first season was obviously the comedic relief character. He was meant to always lighten the mood in heavy situations. He was obsessed with the whole Roller World conspiracy and was like determined to figure it out. He, you know, he was a character that literally worked best with other, like, he was the one that like had the best chemistry with other characters, especially ones outside the friend group, like Abuelita and Chivo, and even Oscar to a point. Like, he was just, like I said, he's like, you know, he's erratic, he's awkward, he's very much he's always like trying to think of a plan. He wants to be the leader all the time. He has you know, what's it called? Like, he's the one that's gonna be prepared for a zombie apocalypse. He has like a kit for everything. Like, he's just super, just ridiculous, like, you know? But that's what makes him such a good character. And like, Brett Gray's comedic timing is just amazing. And like I said, that's part of what makes Jamal such a good character. But I feel like, and one of me and my mutuals on Twitter talked about this, is the fact that I don't feel like the writers knew what to do with Jamal post Roller World, like that plot. And so every season it's just been like he's just been existing. And this season is a great example of that, because Jamal was supposed to be this huge football star, which, let's be honest, that's not even believable, because Jamal has clearly shown the fact that he was very much not into doing football. Like, he avoided that junk like the plague season, 3, I think it was. And I get it. Like sometimes in high school, people change, especially when you and your main friend group fall out. But it just felt like that was so out of character, and it made absolutely no sense. Like essentially, like Brett Gray is not built to be a football person. Like, you know, like it's like his body ain't like track. And you know what? It would like track would have been better or something. Even like him doing like acting or something, or even singing, because Brett Gray can sing in real life. So even if he took up something like choir or something, and I know like choir is probably not cool, but like it would have been more interesting to just see him in another friend group. It didn't really, I don't feel like it mattered if he was popular or not. And then like the whole thing of him like being a ladies man, I feel like even that kind of got dropped after him and Ruby became friends again. Like he essentially just became himself again. Like, and it wasn't really like he was being that much different from himself when he was popular. Like I just felt like I didn't get that energy from him. The only difference was he was just Jamal with more friends and more popularity, but he was just the same Jamal from previous seasons. And that's why I didn't understand his whole like identity crisis towards the end, where he was like, oh, I miss like having like adventures and doing weird stuff and whatever. And it's like, you can still do weird stuff. Like it was just like, it felt weird to me. Like I said, like him being popular, I felt like we forgot about, because I feel like no one really, until like when he was playing the dance, that I remembered, oh, Jamal's popular. But like we started hanging out with Ruby and them, like you never see him with the other football friends again. And like I said, you don't even see him hang out with any other girls or anything, but he's supposed to be getting all this sex and all that. Like, what? We could give Jamal a little girlfriend. Like, I just feel like we could have gave him a little somebody. Everybody else has somebody but Jamal. Like, what was that about? And yeah, like even his whole random 2 episodes where he had a crush on Monse. Why? Why did we go that route? Why? It was so awkward and weird, and it just, why? But yeah, I just feel like with Jamal, y'all fumbled the bag on that. Like I said, the only thing that really saved him was his relationship with Abuelita. That was it. And I like him, obviously, with him and Jasmine. Like, that's it. But like, other than that, y'all really did not know what to do with Jamal, and you hate to see it. But yeah, I mean, I guess it worked out for him. He ended up working for their version of Jeff Bezos, and he found that little weird girl again, and I guess that's good for him. But yeah, that was just a choice. Next, we have Miss Monse. Monse is played by, let me get her name in real life, Sierra Capri. And Monse, damn nerves. I'm so sorry about it. I am so sorry, Miss Cherie girl. But Monse was not a likable character. I'm sorry. Like, Monse, to me, at least the way that it seemed, was that Monse was never really Ruby or Jamal's friend. Like, she tolerates them, and I know that she cares about them to a certain extent, but she only cares about Cesar. Like, from day one, she has always, that was been her MO, is Cesar, Cesar, Cesar. Like, that's it. That's why it was, I don't know, like this season, she was annoying because she was very conflicted. Like, on the one hand, I mean, I guess it's kind of like, you give great advice, but you sure don't take that advice, child, because she gave Jamal, like, you know, Jasmine this great speech about loving yourself and choosing yourself, and I really thought she was going to stay strong and stay the hell away from Cesar, but no, my girl went out sad, sadder than sad, honey, because how many times has Cesar embarrassed you in the course of this show? Like, the show wants us to believe that Cesar is a good guy in terms of, like, relationships, but this nigga has been doing her shiesty from the beginning. Shall we go back? In the first season, first of all, he starts to date the Olivia girl in Monse's face. And even though, like, they, I think, broke up or whatever the situation is, he was going back and forth between the two of them the entire first season. Like, whatever, because they were sleeping together, right, during the summer, and that was the whole thing and whatever. And yeah, what was that about? Then season 2, he did something in season 2. It's been so damn long. I don't know what he did, but I know he did some clownery. They did some back and forth, up and down crap. And then season 3, he he cheated on Monse essentially with that girl at the thing. He slept with that random girl. And then season 4, he wanted to be Mr. Gangbanger of the Year and was, you know, hopping between her and Vero. I think her name was Vero, whatever. And then, like, you know, like he and Monse started sleeping together again, but he wasn't trying to let Miss Vera girl go. And then when they finally did break up and Monse thought they were gonna get back together, he tried to blame it on her, talking about she's always the drama in the situation. Like what? And then let her on some more. And then when she wanted to ask him to prom, he said no. And then even at prom, I think she tried it again and he still rejected her again. It was just like, oh, Monse, please.
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
Why? What are we holding on to? Cesar is not even it. I don't see it for Mr. Cesar. I'm so sorry about it. I don't understand the appeal of that man. It's not giving. It's never gave. It never will give ever. It's just not it. No. Like, I really wish Monse found her, like, a nice guy or something. Like, that would have been so refreshing to see. Or just her choosing herself for once. Because all she does is care about Cesar 24/7. That was her plot. Like, that's it. Like, and even, like, the fact that they try to make her to be, like, this writer. And she's the one that's been writing what's been going on this whole time is also very weird. Because I ain't seen Monse pick up a book to write yet. Not even to write a journal entry Moesha style. Like, what have we been writing? You read your Obama's book once and now you're going to take a gap year to write a book about your life? What? Huh? Like, I feel like, yeah, they may have, like, showed that she had an interest in, like, reading books and stuff, but it just didn't make any sense to me. Like, we should have done more of that. More of showing her having interest in books and stuff. But, like, no. The best thing I could say is her relationship with Jasmine. And, like, I'm glad that the two of them, you know, have their friendship. And I'm glad that it's a thing. But, like, other than that, like, Monse literally brought nothing to the table in terms of a character. And the ugly faces she used to make. This is no shade to the actress. The actress is a very pretty girl. But that face she used to make when she was crying, oh, awful. God awful. Between her and Oscar, with that face she used to make when he was upset, like, boy. But yeah, Monse, I just feel like, and like, when did the dad get married? I feel like that was not a thing. I don't feel like we focused on that a lot. Like, that just came out the sky blue. But yeah, I wish we would have seen more of her going to the school. Like, I wish that, you know, like, her and her friends, like, what the dynamic was like. Like, I wish they would have did, like, a flashback with her being in school or something. But, like, they never really explored that at all. Like, she's kind of, like, was like, I'm not going back to school anymore. That's tough. Like, you know? But, yeah, like, there's not much to say about Monse. Like, her storyline with Cesar, that's pretty much it. Which is unfortunate for her to be, like, the second only main character, like, female main character. Like, that kind of sucked. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Next, we have... So, Mr. Diego is the one that plays Cesar. And, I mean, Cesar's another character I've never really felt strongly about. He's another one where I don't really feel like he's genuinely friends with, like I said, the closest friendship and bond that he has is with Monse. And really, that's not even really a bond to me. I just think that Monse is a lot of emotional labor for Cesar, and she's the only one that, like, you know, I guess calls him out in his foolishness. But like I said, like, I guess he's kind of close with Ruby. I never really got that from him and Jamal or thing. They just kind of all just seem to just be mutuals. But Monse is the only genuine, like, friendship I see there. That's just what I feel like. And yeah, like, Cesar was annoying as hell this season. I'm so sorry, Mr. Diego, but you gotta go back to the drawing board, because this season was not it. Like, it was just like, and I get, like, it's supposed to be because Cesar's so, like, out of character and he's not being himself, but, like, damn, it was not believable to say. Like, it wasn't believable, babes. Like, the voice, the hair, the everything, it was just not, it was so god awful. And this is another one that just wasn't, like, it didn't make any sense for, like, Cesar to be so, like, adverse to being in a gang. The first season, like, that was the whole big plot, is Cesar just trying to escape it. And I get it, because that can definitely happen in real life. Like, someone can seriously be like, I don't want to be in a gang, I don't want to be a part of that stuff, and then end up being just that, because that's just how circumstances be sometimes. But it's just like, to be the head of the gang, really? Like, we had to do all of that? He can just be just in the gang. He had to be the head of the gang. Like, that was just weird. And he hated he hated Oscar so much. And I was just like, huh? What? Huh? Now we hate Oscar? Like, what? But yeah, this season, it was just the voice for me. It was just so annoying. But yeah, like Cesar's thing, like him just, I don't know, like what was Cesar's arc? Like I said, I guess he was just trying to do right by his friends, I guess, and trying to stay out the gang. That was his whole thing for the past 3 seasons, and he just joined the gang, and then he got out the gang, and then my homeboy Oscar got killed, and it could have, honestly, if it happened to Cesar, quiet as it's kept, I wouldn't have cared. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I wouldn't have cared. I'm sorry, because Cesar just was never interesting to me. Like, they really did not make him that interesting. Like, I feel like he's one of them characters that they thought because he was good looking, because like I said, it ain't my cup of tea, but I know people like it. Like, that was his only redeeming quality. And like I said, they kept trying to paint him to be this good guy. But like I said, in terms of his relationship with Monse, number one, that relationship was just toxic as hell. And he was not, they weren't, Monse was just very much mixed signally, and she would never say exactly how she felt. But he would always be sitting there, he's for the streets. He's for the streets. But yeah, like Cesar he's just Cesar. Like I said, I feel like that's another character, once again, that was not really that well established to me. Like, no, I'm sorry. I could never get jiggy with Mr. Cesar. And I can briefly talk about Oscar because you know what? Mr. Julio, that's a man that can act. I want to see him in more things because that's a person that could do the 180. Like, because Spooky was spooky. Them first couple of seasons, that man was scary. I ain't want no smoke with Spooky, okay? Like, and for him to go from being who he was, and then you see him transform into this family man, and all these great things happening for him, and he's just so transformed, and things is going well. When my boy got killed, even though I knew it was going to happen, because, you know, every time you watch, enough movies in the hood, every time somebody leave a gang and they try to move away and start a new life, it never happens. It never happens. Look at Menace to Society. Come on. We've seen this movie before. But I just thought maybe this time it could be different. But no. But Oscar, like I said, for a character that I could not stand the first couple of seasons because I did not like the fact that he kept trying to force Cesar to be in this gang business. But, you know, for me, him being my favorite character, one of my favorite, and like I said, generally being upset when he died, that is just a testament to the actor. Like, you know? And like I said, Oscar was a very complex character that I felt was the one and the only few characters that was written correctly, like well, and had a fully fleshed out storyline whose motivations were clear. And, you know, it's complex where, like, you can have complex feelings about Oscar. Like, you can have things about him that you didn't like, but at his essence, he was a good person. Like, he was a good brother. Like, he tried to do what was the best interest for his family, aka just him and Cesar. And I feel like that was perfectly conveyed throughout the series. And, you know, it sucks that my boy had to go out like the way he went out, but that's my dude right there. Okay, rest in peace to a real one. For real. Okay? And next we're gonna talk about Miss Jasmine, who is played by Jessica Garcia. And once again, one of the best characters on this show, making her like a main character was one of the smartest moves this show could ever make. And another character who did a complete like 180 type, she really never changed. But I just love the fact that in the beginning, obviously, Jasmine was meant to kind of be the ignoring neighbor girl, you know, that was constantly like in love with Ruby, but it was very much unrequited. But when they gave her more to do in season 3, it was where we got to know more about her story and her relationship with her dad and just everything about her, and how, like I said, even with her relationship with Ruby and how she was very understanding and gave him a shoulder to lean on. I feel like Jasmine became, like I said, a much more fully fleshed out character that you can sympathize and root for. And I mean, I didn't really like what they were doing with the beginning of this season with her. Like, she was becoming like annoying and wasn't giving Ruby no room to breathe. But you know, when she decided to finally choose herself, because I feel like she realized that she had a tendency to always be giving to everybody else but herself. You know, I felt that to be it was like good. Like, I liked that about her, and that she put her foot down and didn't like immediately go back to Ruby when Ruby wanted her back. Because that's something that a lot of girls should learn, you know, a lot of us, and just, you know, like we should, people in general, but definitely women, because especially, and women of color, because like I said, we just, a lot of times I feel like we find ourselves just giving to everybody else but ourselves, and we put ourselves last on the priority list, when we need to focus on ourselves. Sometimes you just gotta go through a season of just focusing on you and doing what's best for you, and as much as that may hard to do, it can be hard to do, you gotta do it. I was so sad for her when she couldn't go to her dream school because she had no one was there to take care of her dad. Like, that sucked. I wanted some miracle to come or something so where she can still go to Berkeley. It broke my heart for her, for real. But like I said, I love Jasmine. Jasmine was just a great addition to the show, and like I said, along with Jamal and Abuelita, like, she was, like I said, made this show watchable. But yeah, Jasmine, like I said, her motivations were always clear. Like I said, she was giving to other people. This season, she decided to look out for herself and love herself. And that's dope. That's really dope. It's dope to see the growth. Because like I said, from season one, that I don't feel like season one Jasmine would have been able to do that because she was just so obsessed with Ruby. And then now, you know, that. So that's great. And I mean, yeah, I mean, overall, season 4, like I said, it wasn't completely perfect. Like I said, there's still some things that don't quite make sense and weren't 100% clear. I mean, I'm glad we got to meet little Ricky because that was a mystery from day one. I'm glad they brought Chivo back. Abuelita, my girl had to go. I'm really sad about that, but I do love the fact that she was, you know, trying to get the gang back together, and essentially that's the reason why they all became friends again, because she conspired. And so that was beautiful. I also, yeah, but like, I just think there's a lot of things missing there. Like, I feel like they kind of tried to rush it. Because even like the time jump thing felt weird, but I guess they like focused on them being like a freshman or a sophomore for like a while. So I feel like that messed it up. But like I said, after the Roller World plot, I feel like this show kind of didn't know where to go. Like, you know, like that was the foundation of it, but they really didn't know how to move past it. And just stuff just became very choppy and unclear with a lot of the plot lines they were trying to do. And they were throwing a lot of things at the dark, and it didn't make sense. But yeah, like, I just feel like, I mean, like I said, like, I didn't like the fact also they did a lot of montages this season. Like, instead of like giving us something else, they just like were being like, I feel like montages are kind of lazy. Like, it's a way to show the passage of time without showing the passage of time. And I get it, but like, no, because it just feels like it doesn't feel like we went through their entire senior year. It really just feel like we went like through a month in their lives. I don't know if it's just me, but like I said, especially with characters like Jamal, where they really did nothing with his character for 4 seasons. That's just annoying to me. Like, I just wish they did more. And same thing with someone like a Monse. I don't feel like they utilized her character correctly. Don't like it. Yeah, like, it just felt like I said, like, well, I don't, like, it's hard to make a good last season because, like I said, especially whatever, but there was a way we could have done this a little bit better. But like I said, it was just enough to keep you going and intrigued, and you know, you made most of the characters endearing enough for me to be invested to want to see how this whole thing comes to an end. So that's good. That's decent. You know, my big problem with On My Block as a whole is that there was not enough like darker skin actresses on this show. I will never rock with that. I mean, like I said, Monse looks like every other girl on a Netflix original, so that's not a win for me. I would have loved to see a darker skin, either Afro-Latina girl or just a regular, just black, you know, Black American girl. Like, that would have been fine. I don't see why that couldn't have been a thing, but instead we chose not to do that. So you had missed the girl that played, what was her name? The girl from first, was her name Olivia? The girl from first season that couldn't speak good Spanish to save her life. You had, once again, a lighter skinned actress who we found out was racist anyway. And I think that's why she ended up getting killed off. So, you know, that was what it was. And yeah, like, you know, I would have loved to just see more darker skinned people. And I like, it annoyed the hell out of me, the fact that y'all couldn't find black girls this entire time other than Kendra. But the last season when Jamal had little flings, y'all found the dark skinned girls. I'm like, interesting. How interesting is that? And none of the flings were good enough to be Jamal's girlfriend. Like, And then we seen there's allegedly like a spinoff of On My Block. And that cast is looking light, bright, and damn near white. So guess who will not be watching? Me, okay? But it's definitely been a ride. It's been a ride. And like I said, at least, you know, On My Block did not get the Get Down treatment where I got attached to a show and it gets canceled within the freaking, you know, within the second, within the first 2 seasons. Like it got a 4 seasons is decent enough for a show, a coming of age show, especially when it's not like an anthology series. So, you know, it was cute. It was a cute show. It was definitely cringy at times and very corny at times, and some of the acting was a choice. Choices were made. But overall, like I said, it was a very like bittersweet final season, and like I said, I think it is. I enjoyed On My Block for the most part. But you know, y'all let me know if you guys watched On My Block. Did you watch this last season? What did you like? Who was your favorite characters? What were your favorite moments? Let me know all that good stuff in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll definitely see y'all in my next video. Peace out, y'all.